Hi classmates, today I will be presenting my Geology 172 final GIS project, and I'm going to be making a map comparison between 1991 and 2018, and the map is going to show unit change in the Bay Area. The first thing I did was went to ca.gov and downloaded a data set on housing units. I downloaded chapter 16 from the course, and I also downloaded some shapefiles and other stuff as well. When we open the dataset, we can see county, year, type, and units. If we filter the years, we can see data from 1991 to 2018. For this study, we'll only use 1991 data and 2018 data, and also we will only use single families. Next, we will copy them in a separate tab, then select the 2018 data, then put the data together. Here I am just making sure that they're in order so that there will be no complications later. So here we can delete type and county because the type and the county is what we're comparing, and the numbers are the things that's going to change. So we could delete that to make it more organized. We can also, instead of having year, we could have units of 20, it should be 1991 and 2018. I actually fixed that later in the project. So now we can delete the housing units tab, and we just have to save this data set as a CSV, and it's ready to go. So in ArcGIS, I opened my housing units.csv and I exported it as a database. So next I added the chapter 16 map and also added some county shapefiles I got from a database. Since we're focusing on the Bay Area, we can move it to the top layer on the left on the layers side, and then we can outline the Bay Area with red and use another color for the rest of the counties. Next I went to selection, then select by location, and target counties, and have Bay Area as our source layer, then I hit intersect the source layer. Now we have to deselect it because it's not the area that we were studying, and once we only have the Bay Area selected, I exported it as county data as a new shapefile. And now we can remove the two other layers, and this leaves us with the Bay Area counties. So next thing I did was open the attribute table, and we have a lot of fields here that we don't actually need. So I just decided to go ahead and delete a lot of them and make it a little bit more organized. I imported the housing units Excel sheet and I right clicked on California counties and joined the data. I select names as the field in this layer and housing underscore units as the table, and the field in the table to base the join on is county. So here I am just opening the attribute table to double check that my data has joined and everything looks correct. So now I just need to export it into a separate shapefile, and once I've done that I can remove the previous shapefile, and this new shapefile should have all my data. So now to make the layout for our map, I went to page layout, set the size to A4, and set the orientation to landscape. I resized it. I resized it a little bit, and I go back to layer and copy the data frame and paste it back again. I added another rectangle just to make it look a little bit nicer, and I set that to no color. Then I needed to add another rectangle for the title box, And for the title box, I used gray. And as I go along, I just keep adjusting the sizes a little bit. So yeah. Next, I hit Properties, New Grid. I tried 1 degree, but it didn't look how I wanted it to, so I used 2 degrees between graticals, and it looked nicer, so I just went with it. I hit lines and selected to not show lines or ticks. Then I did the same for the second layout, this time placing parallels and meridians every 2 degrees, and again selected do not show lines or ticks. And once we have this done, uh, we can delete the housing units database file. So in our first layer, I go to Properties, and this is where I decide whether to use graduated symbol map, proportional map, or dot density map. I decided to use graduated symbol here because I think it works a little bit better for what I'm trying to show. This is also where I get to decide whether to use manual equal interval, define interval, quantile, natural breaks, geometrical interval, standard deviation. And I went with equal interval classification for my first data frame, then used manual classification for my second. And this is to compare our data. Um, I think that the equal distribution will not be the same in a 2-year period. So first I will use equal interval classification. Then I will use manual classification after seeing the equal intervals method value. Then I will manually classify the second data frame. So to do this, I open Properties, hit Symbology, then Quantities, Graduated Symbols, Units, underscore 2015. It should be 1991. I actually noticed this and fix it here. But then I hit Classify, then Equal Interval, and change classes to 4. I set the size to 6 and set the color to pink. I select no outline, then do the same for the rest, but increasing the size to account for the increasing range. I then change the integers into whole numbers because it makes more logical sense to not have decimals when talking about housing units. For the second data set, I noticed that there's a huge variation, so I have to use the equal interval again. It's no big deal, so I just do the same steps again. So here all I'm doing is choosing the right colors and making it look as presentable as possible. I have to make sure that the colors don't look the same or as different as possible, but also make sure they don't look weird, you know. So now I need to add labels. For this, I hit Properties and go to Labels. To make the labels smaller, I do some trial and error until I find a font that I like. I end up using gray and Times New Roman. So now I need to add the legend. I go to Insert, Legend, and select Times New Roman again. I add units to my single family housing layer, like on the left. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but that's just the way I know how to do it. And then I just did the same thing again for the 2018 information. Now what I'm doing is going to the symbol selector, going to legend properties, and I'm just trying to make everything look as nice as possible. So we're coming up to the last couple steps of the map, just double checking what we need to have on a map is a title, a legend, a north arrow, a scale bar, a data source, a data frame. We need appropriate page orientation, appropriate labels, appropriate symbols, and we need to add additional data if we need it. We actually do have most of these things. We do still need to add a title, and we need a north arrow and a scale bar. Those are all super easy to add. We can just go to Insert, and we can just insert a scale bar and a north arrow. Okay, so for data source, we will add text and input https://data.ca.gov. And for the title, I will add another text saying map of housing unit change in Bay Area counties of California. I'll add a subtext saying comparison between housings date of 1991 and 2018. Then I just opened up StreetMap, and just like that, we have completed our map comparison housing unit change in the bay. Alright, thank you guys for listening. Peace.